Okay, bonjour. So, this is our third video in this series about the present tense. And in the previous two, we've talked about ER verbs and RE verbs. And if you haven't watched those, you should probably go back and watch those first, really. And today, we're talking about IR verbs. And again, this is mostly aimed at Year 7, but is very good revision for lots of year groups. So today, we're talking about IR verbs in the present tense. I'm just going to go over things again just quickly. So just to say, what is the present tense? So the present tense is talking about what we're doing at the moment or what we do regularly. So things like I play or I am playing, I play football, I am playing football, or I listen to music or I watch television. This is all at the present tense. What's happening right now? It's the most basic tense we use, really. We use it all the time. So we need to make sure we've got it sorted. So that's the present tense. And again, we're talking a lot about verbs today. So verbs are doing words or action words usually. So what things like I am, I have, she plays, he listens, we watch, they eat, that sort of thing is talking about verbs. Verbs are very important in sentences. So we're talking about verbs. And again, just quickly, we're talking about the verb that you need. So you could look it up in a dictionary. So here we've got a couple, tomber to fall and couper to cut something. So those are two verbs. You might find them in a dictionary. You need to know what you're looking for. Obviously those are both ER verbs, whereas you might get some that have IR on the end. And again, just one more time really, just talking about how many different people you can talk about a verb. So if you think about the verb to play, you could say I play, you play, he plays football, she plays tennis, we play basketball, do you play golf, they play rugby. There's loads of things we could say, so we just need to try and remember these words in French. So we've got je is I, tu is you, il is he, elle is she. So you need to write these down if you haven't, and try and learn them off by heart. And then we've got nous is we, vous is you, il is they, and elle is the feminine form of they. Just to remind you about that. So again, you've got two words for you in French, tu towards the top and vous more towards the bottom. So tu is used if you're talking about a friend, and vous is used if you're talking to someone you don't know or about a group of people, to a group of people. And then you've got two words for they as well. So ils, I-L-S, is the word for they for talk about a group of boys, and then elle is the word you use if you're talking about a group of girls. And if there's a mixed number, then you use the top one, il, because that's just the way things are, I'm afraid. So those are the words. And again, we need to try and remember this order. The first four are all one person. So je, tu, il, elle are all one person. That's why they go together up near the top. And the bottom four, nous, vous, il, and elle, are more than one person, a group of people, and that's why they go together at the bottom. You need to remember that order. So let's have a look at some IR verbs. Again, just very simple. IR verbs are verbs that end in IR. It's really simple. And here's a few examples. Finir to finish, choisir to choose, remplir to fill, to fill a glass of water or maybe to fill in a form. You might use remplir. And saisir is the verb to seize, to grab something or to take hold of it. So those are four verbs: finir, choisir, remplir, and saisir. Now, again, if you go back and think about the ER verbs, said that 90% of verbs in French are ER verbs, and they are very, very important. Whereas if you look at this list, these verbs are not really incredibly important all the time. But we do need to try and make sure we remember them because they could come in useful, especially the word finish, because we say finish quite a lot. And it's an IR verb. So again, choisir to choose, remplir to fill. I mean, again, think about it. If you fill a glass every day, several times a day, you might do it. But how many times do you actually say it? We don't really say it that much. But again, you might need to use it at some point. And the word to seize, I mean, unless you're in the police, where you might seize some money, or you might seize some weapons or some drugs, I suppose. And we don't really use the word to seize that much. But we might need it. We just never know. So we just need to make sure we can use these verbs in French. So let's have a look at this next step, which is the most important part of what we're saying here. So just like the other two types of verbs, ER verbs and RE verbs, IR verbs follow a pattern. So the first thing we do, as always with these, is we drop the IR off the end. Bye-bye. And then we're left with fin, which is the stem, with the IR missing. And then onto this bit here, the fin, we add on different endings. So if we want to say I've finished, or I am finishing my homework, for example, you would put IS on the end. So je finis with IS on the end. I finish, or I'm finishing my homework, or I'm finishing my tea, you might say. If you want to say you finish, you put IS on the end again. So you might say, have you finished your homework? Or are you finishing your homework? Tu finis tes devoirs, you might say. If you want to say he or she finishes, or is finishing her homework, you'd say il finit with IT on the end, or elle finit with IT on the end. So, and then we can move on to the bottom ones, and this is where it gets a bit different, I'm afraid. Like I said, I wish all these endings would just be the same. We could just learn one set of endings, but unfortunately we have to learn different types of endings, and this looks quite complicated. So we've got ISSONS for we, ISSEZ, and ISSENT. It looks quite complicated, but actually if you look at it, the ONS, EZ, ENT is actually just the same as we've learned already. We've just got to try and remember to put ISS in front of it. So it looks a lot different, this verb. IR verbs look a lot different really, but it's just something we need to try and remember. So again, those are the endings: IS, IS, IT, ISSONS, ISSEZ, ISSENT. So it's a bit of a mouthful, that one. It isn't easy to remember it in terms of just saying it. But one way or another, some don't know how you're going to do it, but somehow you need to try and remember those endings. And again, if you go on YouTube, you'll find, type in IR verb songs, French IR verb song, you'll find a few little videos that might help us to try and remember those songs, those endings, sorry. And one of them goes a little bit like this: IS, IS, IT, ISSONS, ISSEZ, ISSENT. Encore: IS, IS, IT, ISSONS, ISSEZ, ISSENT. So it's quite catchy actually, and it might be a better way to learn it that way, because it is a bit of a mouthful to just say IS, IS, IT, ISSONS, ISSEZ, ISSENT. But have a look around on YouTube, some quite good videos out there. So those are the endings, we need to learn them. So we take the ER off the end and we put those endings on depending on who we want to say things about. Two examples then. Hopefully you've been writing some of these verbs down and the endings down, and now we can have a go on your own. So you should pause it now and have a go on your own. So I choose is the first thing we want to say. So the first thing we do, well, we've got je choisir for a start, so that means I to choose at the moment. And the first thing we do is we knock the IR from the end, which leaves us with that, the stem, and then we add, hopefully remember, IS. IS, IS, IT, IS goes on the end. So je choisis, I choose, or I am choosing. Je choisis les frites, I am choosing, or I choose the chips. Second one, number two, you finish. So we've got tu, which is you, and finir is the verb to finish. So that means you to finish at the moment, which is not very useful. So we take off the IR from the end, and this time once again we put on IS. IS, IS, IT. So we've got tu finis, you finish. Next, we've got he fills. So again, a bit of a random sentence maybe. We'll talk about someone filling his glass, perhaps. So we've got il remplir, which means he to fill at the moment. So we take the IR from the end and we add in IT this time, remember. IS, IS, IT. So il remplit, he fills the glass. Or he fills the cup. Il remplit la tasse, for example. Next, she seizes. So we've got elle and saisir. So that at the moment means she to seize. Doesn't really make much sense, but we take the IR off the end, and once again, she is always like the he form, so it would be IT. I-S-I-S-I-T. So elle saisit, she seizes. Okay. Next we've got we finish. So we might be talking about we're finishing our homework, or we're finishing our meal, or something like that. So we've got nous finir, but again that means we to finish at the moment. So we need to change it over slightly. So we knock the IR off the end, and this time, bit of the mouthful, we put ISSONS. So nous finissons, we finish. So this looks quite complicated, but imagine if you're an examiner and if you were a tester and you marked this work and you saw that sort of verb in a piece of work. I think it's really impressive to be able to show the examiner you can use all these verbs. So it's really useful, really impressive. You choose. So this time we've got vous choisir, you to choose. So again, we knock off the ER and we add on, this time, ISSEZ. So vous choisissez, you choose. Next, we've got they seize. So this is a group of boys or group of men. So we've got ils saisir, they seize. So we take the IR off the end, could be a mixed group as well, and we add on ISSENT. Ils saisissent, they seize. And finally, we've got they fill. So maybe a group of girls are filling up their glasses. So you've got elles remplir. So we take the IR off the end, and again we put ISSENT, just like the they masculine form, it's always the same ending. So elles remplissent, they are filling, or they fill. So it's some of those verbs are a little bit random, but like I said, it's not as important as ER verbs, but we do need to remember it just in case it comes up in a test or something, or we need to say it in France. So that's how it works. Remember, we drop the IR off the end and we put on those endings. ISSIT, ISSONS, ISSEZ, ISSENT. So those are the endings. Again, if you want some more practice on this, we need to go on Languages Online, which is a good website, and then French, Francais, and then grammar, and there's loads of good exercises on IR verbs where you can practice those endings. Okay. Merci, au revoir for now.